little bit about myself because it's important for you to know the history of my journey. And I'm a distributor. I am not corporate, okay? I'm a distributor just like you guys. I started with SeneGence 15 years ago, and of course you know, if you've been around for a little bit, you know that SeneGence is 15 years old. So what does that tell you? I've been here since the beginning, okay? My title is Queen in the company, and I'll get into what that means in a minute. But what it really means is that I am your servant. I literally feel like I am your servant. I'm here to serve you, to do whatever I can do to help you girls find out more about these products and feel like you have a gut knowledge and a confidence so that you can go out and build your business and build your team. And that's why I'm here. And I'm very excited to be here. When I say queen, that means in my team, okay, my team has done, in order to become queen, you have to do $5 million in sales in 1 year for your team.
Wow.
Okay? My team, the year I became queen, did $6.5 million.
Wow.
Yay! That's what makes you a queen. There's nobody higher than me in the company, although there is a higher level, and that's Empress. And to become an Empress, you have to do $10 million in sales in 1 year in your team. Wow. So I'm not sure if I'll ever get there because that's a lot. I'll be dead by then.
You put Empress on your style.
I'm sure you will.
When I started in the company, there was, I met Joni at a trade show. It was the very first time SeneGence had ever been shown to the public. And it was at the LA gift market. It was a wholesale buying gift market, if anybody understands the difference. And so I was walking around because I was actually going to open a boutique. Had nothing to do with makeup. And so I was walking around and I saw this sign that said lipstick that stays on, and I'm like, yeah, right. Because I've always been a lipstick fanatic. Like, even in high school I wore lipstick when nobody else did. And I always wore nail polish, but back then I wore red. So I wore red nails, red lips. Now I wear pink, as you can tell. I'm a pink girl, and my team is Pink Power, so now I really wear pink. But back then, when I saw the sign, there was like literally 3 women deep at this booth. And so I was in the hallway, in the aisle, and I caught the lady that was back behind the booth's attention, her eyes, and she went like this. And I went, you know, like, it's not gonna work. And she went like this. And I went like this. And I ran up and I said, really? It really does stay on? And she goes, why don't you just try it? Go have lunch, eat whatever you want, and see if it's still there. I'm like, okay, I will. So I put on red cherry because that's the only red they had. There was only 6 colors, and red cherry was one of them. So I put on red cherry, I went and had lunch, I had a hamburger. Now anybody that is a lipstick wearer understands when you have red lipstick on and you bite into a hamburger with the bun, you have lipstick down here and lipstick all over the bread, right? So I bit in and I'm like, there's no lipstick there. And then I wipe my mouth with a napkin. This stuff is gone already? So I ate my lunch. I was by myself, so I couldn't say to my friends sitting there, do I still have lipstick on? I was by myself. So I went to the bathroom. I'd never forget this. I had mustard under my fingernails. And I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and I looked in the mirror, and I went, oh my God! It's still there, like literally out loud. It's still there! So I washed my hands, went out, and I could not remember where the stupid booth was. And so I was running around the show, trying to, you know, go like this between the aisles, trying to find it. And then I saw a bunch of women, so I knew that was it. So I went over, and so I said, now this is a wholesale buying show. So I said, what's the minimum? Because I figured it would be like $1,000 or, you know, something like that. And she said, well, if you buy one for yourself, a set for yourself, you can purchase it right now for retail, or you can become a distributor and buy it wholesale. Which one would you prefer? And I said, sign me up. And she said, you mean right now? I said, yeah, sign me up. So she handed me the application, and I was filling it out. Now, I have to tell you my background. My background is in, well, I sort of am a jack of all trades, really, if you really want to know, because I've done a lot of stuff in my life. But I've been in the beauty industry. I was in hair for 10 years. I did hair, got tired of that. And then the reason why I went to beauty school in the first place is because I wanted to do makeup. So I figured that I would see how I could do makeup, and so I asked the salon owner. I was an employee. I wasn't like, I didn't rent a booth like a lot of people do now. So I said, I want to do makeup. She said, okay, well let's do makeup, and you can do like brides and things like that when people come in. So I started doing that. And then just by happenstance, which I don't believe in fate, I believe it's God, I ran into a lady that was a Elizabeth Arden, director for Elizabeth Arden cosmetic makeup, and she was the head of all the stores in the area where I lived in Washington State. And she said, I'm looking for a makeup artist that can be part-time for me and do sort of like contract work. I'm like, I'm it. So we went to training, I learned all about their products and everything, and so then I would travel to all the different stores, and I was like their guest artist, right? So I knew the makeup industry, right? But then my husband was a doctor, and I ran his clinic, and then I started having babies, and then I was a cheerleading coach, and then I did this and I did that, so then the makeup went away. But I always loved girly stuff, and I always loved makeup, and I always took care of my skin. So then when I saw this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. My brain just started working. Every woman in America is going to want this. How am I going to sell this? What am I going to do? And I lived in a town of 2,000 people. Okay, I didn't have a big city like you girls have. I had a little town. So I started selling it to the cheerleading moms and to the theater groups and to the women that worked at the bank and things like that. And I owned a construction company. I forgot to tell you that. I owned a construction company too, and I was the one that did all the bidding. I worked with all the clients, helped them pick out everything for their kitchens and all that stuff. So I'm like, oh my gosh, there was no internet. No, the only way we could order is if I went and put my order on paper, not even on a typewriter, which we had back then, filled it all out, and you had to fax it in, and then you had to send a check. So your order got there right away, but your check didn't get there for a week, so you knew that your product wasn't going to get there for probably 2 weeks, right? And so after a while of doing this, I got a check in the mail from SeneGence, and it was for $38. And I'm like, what's this for? I must have paid too much for my order by accident or something. It's a refund. So I called the company, and they said, no, that's a commission check. I'm like, a commission check? What the heck for? And she said, well, because you have people underneath you now. And I'm like, what? I mean, I didn't get it. I didn't understand network marketing. I didn't understand multi-level marketing compensation plan. I didn't understand anything. Well, then I started teaching myself through my upline, who was Tony Rogers, who was Joni's sister. She lived in California, I lived in Washington State, so we talked on the phone, and she said, you need to learn how to email. I'm like, email? What's email? And she's like, now remember, this was 15 years ago, girl. So I'm like, okay, so she said, this is what you do, and I'm like, okay, and then I had a customer that knew a lot about the computers and stuff, so he showed me. And so my first email I ever sent was to another distributor, and I was so proud of myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm keeping track of my team now, and it was exciting. So then after about 1.5 years, I really started looking at my numbers coming in, and Joni would call me and say, do you realize now you have fourth level? Well, when we started, we only had 3 levels deep. Okay, because there was no distributors. And then after that, then they started building, and then they put it, the compensation plan is 5 levels deep, and we'll get into that later, but tomorrow. But so when I started, it was just 3 levels, and then she called me and she goes, well, now you've got 4 levels. And I'm like, really? And then she called me and she goes, now you've got 5 levels. Well, we had auto ship at the time for distributors, and I put in a $200 auto ship because we only had 3 levels deep, and it wasn't a 300 PV thingy at the beginning. And then the compensation plan changed a little bit because we had 5 levels, so then you had to do 300 PV. Well, Joni called me one day, never forget this. Still, she called me one day and she goes, do you want the good news or the bad news? And I'm like, oh, tell me the bad news first. She goes, well, the bad news is your commission check should have been about $1,500 this month. And I'm like, oh, what? And she goes, but the good news is at least now you know what you need to do to get your commission check next month. And I'm like, what? I didn't understand it. So at that point I said, okay, I need to know what I'm doing. If I'm going to do this, even part-time, I need to get it. I need to understand what I'm doing. I need to understand what compensation plan means, how to get a compensation check, how to do a team. I needed to do all that stuff, right? So when I really got it, I went to seminar, I went to, I think Joni had a leaders conference, and I went to those and I started to really understand it. So I said, if I did this full time, I think I could really make good money at this. And so I called my upline, Tony, and I said, I'm going to go full time into SeneGence. She screamed on the phone. She was so excited. She's like, and this was about 2 years, between 1.5 and 2 years after I became a distributor. So the rest is history. I've worked my butt off. I really have. I've worked hard for what I've done and accomplished in this company. But anything that you want, you have to work for. I don't believe that things come easy. Some things come more easy than others. But if something's rewarding and if something is going to work for you, in my book, you need to work for it. So any of you distributors that's new, I wanted to share that story with you because everybody goes through the same steps. Everybody does. Some get it faster than others. And now that you have all the training in the universe for you at your fingertips, you don't have to worry about going through what I went through because we had no internet, we had no training, we had no printed material, we had no catalog, we had nothing. When I signed up as a distributor, Joni handed me a baggie with 6 colors, a gloss and a noobs, and she said, let me know if you're successful. That was it. I had to make up my own directions on how to use lip sense. I had to figure out how I was going to package it. I had to figure out everything. And then they came up with the website, and the website was really kind of rickety for a couple of years, but it still was a website. And then we got a catalog because we actually got skincare, and then we got some foundation, and we got some different products, added to the line. So I wanted to tell you that story so that you have a foundation of who I am, where I've come from, and where I am today. And for me to be coming to Australia and teaching you girls is an honor for me. It's a dream come true. And I love Australia. I love the girl. I love my Sene sisters. In SeneGence, we call each other Sene sisters. And we have had a ball. We have had so much fun with the girls that we went. Yesterday we went to the beach and we did all kinds of fun. I saw lots of kangaroos, all kinds of stuff. So I love this experience. And the only reason I'm here is because I took a chance and I said yes to an opportunity that I saw. And I hope that if you're a guest today, that you say yes and that you decide to become a distributor and join us and be part of our Sene Sisterhood, because we truly are Sene sisters all over the world now.